Thank you all for joining us here today. I would like to begin by acknowledging that we are gathered today on the ancestral and unceded territory of the Syilx Okanagan people. For those of you who I have not met, my name is Bree Lake, and I'm the CEO at Accelerate Okanagan. Welcome to our office here today. We are so excited to get to host you. Accelerate Okanagan helps to support tech and innovation-driven companies by providing them mentorship, connections, and the community that they need to thrive and help them start their business and really scale. I have the honor of getting to MC today's event, and we have 4 incredible speakers with us here this morning. The Honourable Gregor Robertson, Parliament here for Kelowna. Kath Britton, Director of Program Operations for Export Navigator. And Ian Cranston, Director of IT for IC Infrastructure and an Export Navigator supported business. Following the speaker portion of the event, there will be time for media questions today. And if you have any questions for either minister, please notify Mujtaba Hussain, who is standing right over there, so thank you. Following the media questions, there will be an opportunity for, as I just noted, not only is Minister Stephen Fuhr the Secretary of State for Defence Procurement, but he is our local MP, and it is a pleasure to have him here today. Please join me in welcoming the Honourable Stephen Fuhr.
Thank you very much for coming this morning. I also want to acknowledge we're on the traditional and unceded territory of the Syilx Okanagan people. I would also like to recognize Mayor Tom Dias, Mayor Gord Milsom. We have some folks from Okanagan Indian Band. I don't know if they're here yet. And we have some folks from West Bank First Nations. So thank you for joining us. As many of you know, we just finished hosting Pacific Caucus here. I'm going to link Pacific Caucus to PacifiCan, and here's how I'm going to do that. So when I was an MP the first time around in 2015 to 2019 in the 42nd Parliament, we have sub-components of national caucus. They're regional caucuses. And BC was lumped in with, it was called Northern and Western Caucus. So there was the 4 provinces and the 3 territories. And BC is so uniquely different than those other provinces and territories. I would say the West is the best, but we're just different no matter how you want to quantify it. We are uniquely different. And I kind of led the charge to separate BC caucus from the rest, and we called it Pacific Caucus. So I was really happy to host my colleagues out here for the last couple of days so we could drill into the unique needs of the Okanagan and the South Central British Columbia, because again, even as a subcomponent, we're different than the Lower Mainland, we're different from the island, and it's really important for us to get it right to understand what the problems are. So I want to thank my colleagues for choosing us first. It was an easy argument for me because at least the island got 2 seats and we only got 1, and if you've looked at the map, if you look at it from a Game of Thrones perspective, there's a little tiny red dot surrounded by a sea of blue. So I appreciate them taking the time to come out here and understand our issues so I can A, better advocate for us, and B, we can come up with solutions that actually are effective and work for us because we are different. How I'm going to link that to PacifiCan is the father or mother to PacifiCan was Western Economic Development, or WD. It had the same kind of structure, right? It served the North, it served Western Canada, and we are uniquely different. We have different needs. And although this didn't unravel until after I became unelected in 2021, it was discussed and it was well on its way to being built out. I think this office opened in 2021-ish, around that time frame. But the lead up and the discussions to PacifiCan were well underway. So I was really advocating for it behind the scenes. I didn't get to join the announcement because I wasn't in a position to do so, but not only did we want it, we wanted an office here because it matters for us here in the Central Okanagan. So, you know, a lot of work went into this. I wasn't the only one kind of leading the charge, but I was out there trying to make sure we landed these types of resources and assets here in the Central Okanagan, and more specifically in Kelowna. And I'm thrilled that actually happened. I'm not going to get into the specifics of the announcement because as a happy consequence to Pacific Caucus, I happen to have a friend and colleague in town here who is going to get into the details of today's announcement, and I would like to invite to the podium the Honourable Gregor Robertson, the Minister for Housing, Infrastructure, and the Minister responsible for Pacific Economic Development. Gregor.
Thank you, Steve, for the introduction, and to Bree as well. And good morning, everybody. It's great to see you here. It's great to be here in Kelowna. I've lots of family roots here over some generations, so always happy to be back in the Okanagan. Also want to acknowledge, first and foremost, how happy, honored, and thankful I am to be here. All of us get to be here on the ancestral and unceded homelands of the Syilx people. So a big thanks to the Syilx Okanagan people for hosting us here. Bonjour tout le monde. Je suis très content d'être ici avec vous aujourd'hui pour faire un annonce important pour notre région. That's as much French as I'm going to cover today. They like us to do that back in from Central. But BC is a place of many, many languages, French among them, which is important. It's great to be here today as well, doing my first official announcement as the minister responsible for PacifiCan, which is, there will be many more to come, rest assured, hopefully under my watch, and really honored to be representing entrepreneurs and businesses, basically in Ottawa at the cabinet table as well from BC. Great to be joining your Kelowna MP and Secretary of State, Stephen Fuhr, who is great to be working with in the House of Commons and at Cabinet. We're very lucky to have him on the team based on his incredible background and having a voice for the Okanagan in Ottawa, which is really critical. I was very humbled when the Prime Minister asked me to serve, particularly in this role. I'm an entrepreneur. When I haven't been a politician, I've been an entrepreneur. So I'm very aware of the work that PacifiCan has done, the great work in these recent years that PacifiCan has done for BC businesses and entrepreneurs. And Accelerate Okanagan is a prime example of that, not only as a key PacifiCan partner, but as a driver of innovation here in the Okanagan. So I'm proud to be to take part in showcasing the amazing talent around our province. And I say this with certainty now, and we were saying it today or yesterday with all of our MPs from around BC. Canada needs more BC. And we see the world needs more Canada, Canada needs more BC. And places like the Okanagan create incredible opportunities in diverse industries, whether it's tech, aerospace, agriculture, tourism. PacifiCan has invested over $47 million in 156 projects across the southern interior since 2021, since becoming a unique organization. And over $37 million of that has come specifically to Kelowna, over 100 projects into Kelowna and the communities surrounding. So it's been a significant, big shift and investment here in the region. And these are the numbers, but those translate very directly to jobs, to stronger local businesses, to more opportunity that strengthens our economy. And I want to talk today about the next wave of investments that will benefit Kelowna and companies across the region, but really across BC for entrepreneurs and for business owners. These are challenging times, and it's a challenging time to take a big risk, to take a leap forward than it was just a year or two ago. The world has changed dramatically. The trade war with the U.S., the new tariffs and challenges that we have with trade agreements with our neighbors to the south put a whole lot of question marks in front of taking risk and next steps with our businesses. And even the most strategic entrepreneurs can have issues and get stuck at the border given the current circumstance. So we're very keen, aware of these challenges, talking at the cabinet table, at the BC caucus table. We're talking about it in the House of Commons. Our Prime Minister, Mark Carney, is talking about this every day and seeking solutions for this. So these difficult times and the tariffs imposed by the U.S. They are right now impacting our economy. That's without question. And in terms of defense procurement, our best defense against these tariffs is to strengthen our local economies and to invest in Canadian jobs and workers and to forge stronger trade partnerships globally. That's where we need to focus right now. Businesses need more reliable federal partnership to support that work, to be more competitive, and export ready as we shift our focus to other countries. So we are making that happen as a federal government now. The new government is announcing today we have $2.5 million of investment to help BC businesses tap into the new markets globally, and also to navigate the current trade realities. And there are three major components to this investment. The first is a $1.2 million investment in Export Navigator, the program at PacifiCan that is building on previous investments of almost $5 million, but there's another 1.2 going into it. And we'll hear soon more details on Export Navigator, but it's basically pairing businesses with the experienced advisors who can help them figure out the nuts and bolts of selling beyond our borders. It's also a great example of the federal and BC government working together to make a difference in our communities. We all got to step up right now. The second piece is a $900,000 investment that will make sure that Export Navigator can guide businesses through the requirements of the Canada-US-Mexico Agreement, CUSMA, as we call it, by providing the expert advisory services and covering some of the costs that are associated with becoming compliant with the trade agreement. So these are technical supports that are really critical for businesses and entrepreneurs. The last component of this is nearly $400,000 in funding that enable the Greater Vancouver Board of Trade across the Lower Mainland to deliver a series of workshops that will connect businesses with experts, including customs brokers, lawyers, other professionals, so they can overcome those barriers, making sure we're CUSMA compliant. And one of those workshops will actually be happening here in Kelowna on August the 21st. Put that on your calendars if that is you. So earlier this year, PacifiCan contributed $500,000 to the Greater Vancouver Board of Trade to roll out their Trade Accelerator program. So there's a sequence here that the fantastic team at PacifiCan has been rolling out in response to the global challenges that we face right now. And this one, announcing today, is a total investment about $3 million in initiatives that align with Canada's broader trade strategy, which is really making sure our businesses can be competitive, can be resilient. We're going to hear more about resilience shortly. Different kind of resilience, but making sure that our high-quality Canadian goods and services that the world needs are available. So whether you're just getting started in business as an entrepreneur, whether you're ready to go global, these investments will help fund that kind of support that makes it the process clearer, the goals more achievable, and makes us all collectively more successful. And PacifiCan is here, based right here in this shop, to continue investing and growing in our business, growing our businesses and industries here across BC. That is good for Canada, as I said, and we look forward to seeing more successes coming out of the Okanagan. So I'll be here to answer questions after, but thank you very much for the warm welcome.
Thank you, Minister Robertson. Very exciting announcement today. I would now like to introduce our third speaker, Kath Britton. Kath is the Director of Program Operations for Export Navigator. Please join me in welcoming Kath.
Thank you, Bree. Well, I can't say I'm as dynamic as a speaker as either of our ministers, but I will do my best. Thank you for having me here. First, I'd like to start by thanking PacifiCan, and in particular, the Honourable Gregor Robertson, for providing this meaningful support to Export Navigator and small businesses, both here in the Thompson Okanagan, but also across all of BC. Having started as a pilot program back in 2016, Export Navigator is now entering its 10th year. It's hard to believe. PacifiCan has been supporting Export Navigator since 2019, so thank you. Our unique partnership with Community Futures BC and local Community Futures offices throughout the province amplifies Export Navigator's ability to reach businesses across all of British Columbia. We have 13 export advisors across the province, strategically placed to cover the entire province, with 3 export advisors up in the north, 2 on Vancouver Island, 3 in the Lower Mainland, and we have advisors here in the Thompson, Okanagan, and Kootenay region as well. We also have advisors that are focused on supporting Indigenous-owned businesses. Our advisors work one-on-one with businesses in their regions, promoting export as a growth strategy, both interprovincially and internationally. They provide tools and resources for business owners across the province, and they provide clients with the right referrals at the right time, like to Global Affairs Canada, to Trade and Invest BC, and Ian's going to talk a little bit more about that. So currently, we're supporting over 500 businesses across the province, with approximately 100 of those businesses actually in the Thompson-Okanagan region. Last fiscal year, we supported businesses to achieve an aggregate growth of $38 million in revenue, of export sales growth of $15 million interprovincially, and $23 million internationally. Last year, we supported the growth of 106 HQP jobs, and so for those of you that don't know what HQP means, it's highly qualified personnel jobs, with 36 of those jobs in the Thompson-Okanagan. We have e-courses, we have tons of wraparound. This spring, Export Navigator also launched and now chairs the BC Trade Alliance, which is a collaboration of all the organizations within the export ecosystem in BC to make sure that we're working integral to our success. So where is Wendy? She's back there. So Wendy McCulloch, she's the Executive Director of Community Futures BC. Thank you, Wendy. And Rayanne Anderson, she's one of our local export advisors. She covers the Kelowna area and the Thompson-Okanagan South. Rayanne, thank you for being here, and thank you for all of the work you do to help support businesses. Now, I'd like to introduce Ian Cranston from IC Infrastructure. So Ian is the CEO of IC Infrastructure, a Kelowna-based company he founded 7 years ago to help municipalities address the challenges of aging infrastructure through smart planning, training, and e-learning solutions. Under Ian's leadership, IC Infrastructure is an Export Navigator client working with one of our other local advisors, Amber Pichet. So welcome, Ian.
Thank you very much. So community infrastructure is so important. It dictates the quality of life of everybody. If your water's not right, your toilet doesn't flush, you can't use the park down the street, that has a big impact. And unfortunately, community infrastructure owners are now facing what we call a perfect storm. We've got a lot of aging infrastructure that was built post-World War II when a lot of the towns were getting founded and construction was being laid, accommodating the baby boom populations. But a lot of that infrastructure is now at the end of its life or coming to the end of its life. That's a problem. If that was the only problem, it's almost solvable. But unfortunately, we're dealing with a number of compounding factors that are making that what we call a perfect storm now. Climate. The climate is changing, and communities need to be more resilient to that. That is putting an immense stress on their infrastructure. And I like to say to our friends in the South, it doesn't matter whether you believe in we're causing climate change or not. The fact is the climate is changing, and that is having a massive effect on infrastructure owners. Fires, floods, changing freeze-thaw cycles. We need to be more resilient to that. Staffing. A lot of community organizations are facing really significant staffing problems. Retention of staff, retirement waves that are hitting them, that's causing a lot of problems. As well as growth, there's a lot. And fiscally, the financial sustainability of a lot of these local infrastructure owners is just not there. We're not ready for these big investments that need to be made, and we're very reliant on grant funding. For services that are essential to day-to-day quality of life, is that the right approach? So this perfect storm is a challenge, and one of the additional factors on top of all that, and my personal favorite ones, is community expectations. The community and taxpayers, we want a higher and higher level of service. We want a nicer this, we understand this problem, but also takes the steps forward in addressing this problem. And this problem was decades in the making, and it's going to take us decades to get out of it, but it comes down to making smarter decisions, making longer term decisions that are really accommodating what we need today, but also planning for the future, planning for the next generations. So we're building training platforms and training programs that are meeting these infrastructure owners where they are and helping them move forward with these challenges. To date, as you heard from Kath, we've trained thousands of people across North America, and as a small company that's based in Kelowna, we are having a massively outweighed impact on the public infrastructure problem, which is something we're really proud of. We've got a proven track record of delivering high-profile projects across North America, many here in Canada. We've had a lot of funding that we've worked through with different federal partners, including the Federation of Canadian Municipalities. They've had a very successful municipal asset management program that we were a key partner of, and now their new programs include the Local Leadership and Climate Adaptation Program, both of which are supported by the Federal Minister's portfolio. So we've been working, across Canada as a leader in this space, and we've been working the biggest and the best opportunities for us to pursue. There are many similarities with infrastructure owners in Canada and lessons that we're able to take down there. The size is also completely different. In Canada here, we're serving 5,000 municipalities. In the US, there's 50,000 that we can go to. It's a hugely different market. Furthermore, we would consider them about 10 years behind where Canada is in understanding this infrastructure problem. So a lot of them are starting to get hit really hard with some major infrastructure failures. Canada, when you look at the world stage, has been relatively proactive in getting their handle around how bad this infrastructure problem is and putting the right funding in place to help municipalities move forward. So very grateful for that stance, both from the federal government, but also the provinces have been very proactive in that, which is great. But in the US, we're trying to push down there. We're able to go down there with a premium price product. We're able to leverage the exchange rate at the moment, which has been very beneficial for us as well. And we're starting to take those steps and push down there. As we heard, we've been working in Michigan for a number of years. We just got a new contract with them, a $1 million contract that will last us over the next 3 years, which is great. We're also working in Alaska, and that's been a really exciting place to go and explore. What's been interesting is, as we push to date, Export Navigator has been instrumental in our US expansion, so I appreciate that. Firstly, we get a lot of education from Export Navigator. There is a lot of things happening, especially at the moment. It's moving so fast, it's impossible to keep on top of it. I know Amber from Export Navigator is on it. She sends me emails, updates, what's happening, what I need to know about, and specifically shout outs to hey, I know your business and this event is something you should go to. Great, cool, because I don't have the time to track all of that. So that's been really helpful, helping us understand what's going on, be it through training, webinars, events. That's been really helpful. Really appreciate that. Another thing we've been able to leverage through some of the support from Export Navigator is the Can Export grants. So they've been very useful for us in funding our travel, basically, and our efforts to go down and have FaceTime with these clients. I was invited to go and speak as a presenter on a panel at the Government Finance Officers Association. They had a big annual conference, all the CFOs from a lot of municipalities. There was 5,000 against the Buy America Act. Are they allowed to give this contract to us as a Canadian company? And I'm thinking, oh geez, this was a $250,000 contract that we were literally on the verge of losing because there was this bit of paper that said, we don't think we can give you that. I called Amber. I was like, what do I do? What is going on here? She said, hold on, don't panic. I'm going to connect you with the Trade Commissioner. We were connected to the Trade Commissioner who understands all this legislation back to front, up and down, side to side. And he said, okay, leave it with me. I'll go and package some things up. He asked me a few questions. He came back with a detailed memo that laid out exactly why it was totally fine for them to work with us and give us this contract. And that saved this job for us. Otherwise, we would have lost it. I certainly didn't have the time to go and trawl through all that. Neither do I understand all these legalese and things that are in there. So that Trade Commissioner was amazing at helping us secure that. And again, that was through the connections from Export Navigator. Really appreciate that. Another shout out to Accelerate Okanagan. They've been instrumental in our journey since we grow. It's hard, starting a business and growing a...
Great. Well, thank you so much to Kath and Ian for sharing more about the impacts that you make here locally in our community and how needed it is during this challenging time. Before we wrap up, I just wanted to take a moment to really reflect on the significance of today's announcements. At Accelerate Okanagan, we have the privilege of getting to work with many entrepreneurs and business leaders who are building these amazing companies here, and they're really driven and innovative and are looking for ways to grow beyond our region and really need that help in navigating how do they get to these new markets. And I think that's really what encompasses today's announcement. Supports for programs like Export Navigator doesn't just fund the services, it really fuels the possibilities here in our community, and it gives our businesses the tools, the confidence, and the guidance that they need to enter those new markets, as Ian spoke to. We are so grateful to the Government of Canada and PacifiCan for recognizing the potential of the businesses here in our community and continuing to invest in their growth. And really, to the entrepreneurs that are here in the room today, if you've been thinking about exporting and not sure how to navigate it, now is the time, and be sure to connect with Kath and her team. So thank you again for joining us this morning. That concludes the speaking portion of this event. As noted at the beginning, Majtaba will be now facilitating questions from the media, and afterwards we ask that the speakers meet up here at the front for a group photo. So thank you all and have a wonderful day.
Okay. Hi, everyone. So we're just going to be doing one question, one follow-up, and then after each outlet has gone, we'll run through additional questions if there are any. Whenever you want to ask a question, just please identify your outlet. Thank you.
I'm Global Television. I have a question for Minister Robertson from my colleagues in Toronto. If you could step up.
Okay. Sure thing.
And put your housing hat on here. The City of Toronto has decided not to allow sixplexes across the city. That move violates the conditions that the city agreed to in exchange for tens of millions of dollars from your government's Housing Accelerator Fund. Will the federal government claw back funding from municipalities that don't hold up the end of their bargain?
Yeah, thank you for the question. And my focus as Housing and Infrastructure Minister is to work with partners, all governments across the country, and make sure we're using every tool available to solve the housing crisis. The decision on sixplexes in Toronto is disappointing, not in line with the ambition and the what we were looking for from the city in terms of a commitment to more housing. And our offices are in regular communication, really looking at next steps, exploring how we may proceed with this. I won't share any details on that, but we will have a decision soon related to the funding. Any other questions?
I have a follow-up.
Okay.
Of course.
Imagine that.
Your government pledged during the campaign to launch Build Canada Homes to get the federal government back in the home building business. When will Build Canada Homes be up and running?
Yeah, thanks for the question. Build Canada Homes is our big, broad initiative across the country to work up to doubling the construction of housing across Canada in the years to come. And we anticipate rolling out next steps this fall on Build Canada Homes. We're deep in the process right now, and also really looking for the biggest opportunities we have across the country to scale up more housing construction and more affordability in that housing, most importantly. Okay. Anyone else?
Bueller?
Could I ask you a question?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I would like Stephen to just translate how this new funding announcement benefits the Okanagan in sort of mom and pop talk for our audience.
Well, I think we had a fantastic example of that just a few minutes ago. Working outside our borders is becoming more complex and more complicated, and it's changing literally every single day. So PacifiCan, under this announcement and this program, is helping small businesses figure out what to do, because literally what we think we need to do on a Tuesday could literally change Friday. So this program is really, really crucial for small businesses that are trying to break outside our own borders. So again, that was a really great example we heard earlier of a tangible example of it making a real difference for small business here in the Okanagan.
A lot of businesses here in the Okanagan are small business, like you say, don't necessarily export out to the United States. They import products and sell them here to consumers right here on Bernard. And I'm wondering if there's any plans for those businesses that would get federal help.
Well, I mean, trade is a hot topic in this country right now, and it's a hot topic across the world. Canada is not the only country facing stresses with regard to trade and tariffs and all these things. So yes, we're looking at a whole host of things to help us get us through this very difficult challenge we have right now with our biggest trading partner. We'll continue to have a relationship with the United States. It will look different moving forward. I think that's just the reality that we're in, and that's something that we're working on to make sure that we have opportunities outside this very important relationship that will look different moving forward, but it will still be a relationship nonetheless. And programs like this that we announced today will be a vital part of letting our small businesses continue to grow under dynamic and rapidly changing circumstances. And that will probably be our reality until we come to a final agreement, hopefully sooner rather than later.
Okay. Sure.
I'm one of the expert advisors. One of the things some clients have come to us about regarding, yes, the U.S. is one of their main targets, is going to continue to be one of their main export markets, but something they're confronting, even if they have a very niche product, very well priced. Housing solutions that you're going to be announcing.
Yeah, in terms of housing solutions, we have been rolling out ongoing announcements related to housing investments, and we're scaling up that work. Basically, I've been charged with doubling construction across Canada. That's up to 500,000 homes per year. That's going to take a number of years to get up to and to focus on the affordable side of housing. That's what Canadians need. So we're looking at all options in terms of supporting the off-site construction and modular industry so we can build faster and cheaper and greener. We're also looking at all of the programs we can work with provincial, territorial, local, Indigenous governments to support them to scale up the amount of building of homes that they do. So private sector plays a critical role in this. So we're looking at both below market and market solutions to ramp up the amount of homes that we build and make them as affordable as possible.
SIPs has been something that's been used in Europe and other parts, structural insulated panels.
Yep.
How close are we to that? I think it's been around for decades.
Yeah, well, on structurally insulated panels or SIPs and other products that are building products that are manufactured off-site and then assembled on construction sites much more efficiently, much faster than on-site construction. Our industry is much smaller than European counterparts. In some cases, Sweden's about 10 times. They're about 45% of their construction is done off-site and then shipped to site, kind of the IKEA model. In Canada, we're less than 5%, depending on how you measure, and that's what we need to ramp up. So we will be investing and supporting that industry. There's some great companies here in the Thompson Okanagan that are doing manufactured products, prefab homes, panels, and different pods of kitchens and bathrooms. Those are all products that can be built faster, more affordably. And as a country, we need to step up. We need to make that more available, more affordable, and really make sure that we're being as productive and efficient as possible when we build homes. You're welcome.